They say some doors should never be opened. In the forgotten town of Ashford Hollow, there stands a church that has been abandoned for 70 years. No services, no prayers, no life. But the locals whisper of something else, something that happens when the clock strikes 12. They say that at midnight, the doors open on their own. They say the dead come to worship. And they say that anyone foolish enough to witness it never leaves. Tonight, someone is about to discover if the legends are true. Marcus Webb didn't believe in ghosts. As an investigative journalist for a dying newspaper, he believed in facts, evidence, and the desperate need for a story that would save his career. The rumors about St. Lazarus Church had been circulating for decades. Tales of phantom bells, spectral hymns, and a congregation that gathered in the dead of night. Local historians claimed the church had been sealed after a mysterious tragedy in 1953, when the entire congregation vanished during a midnight mass. No bodies were ever found. No explanation was ever given. Marcus had spent 3 weeks researching, interviewing terrified locals who refused to go near the church after dark, collecting fragments of folklore that all pointed to the same conclusion. Something unholy happened at St. Lazarus, and it was still happening. His editor had laughed at the pitch, calling it small-town superstition, but Marcus saw opportunity. One night, one investigation, one story that would put him back on the map. He arrived at the church at 11:30, his camera equipment heavy on his shoulder, a flashlight in his hand, and skepticism armoring his mind. The building loomed before him, a massive stone structure choked with ivy, its bell tower reaching toward the stars like an accusing finger. The air felt wrong here, too still, too cold for an October night. But Marcus pushed forward. He had a story to write. The door was unlocked. That should have been his first warning. Marcus pushed it open, and the hinges screamed in protest, echoing through the cavernous interior. His flashlight beam swept across the sanctuary, revealing rows of wooden pews covered in dust, a pulpit draped in cobwebs, and walls lined with faded portraits of stern-faced clergy. The air inside was thick and stale, carrying the scent of decay and something else, something sweet and sickly, like flowers left too long on a grave. He set up his camera on a tripod facing the altar, adjusted the night vision settings, and checked his watch. 11:47, 13 minutes until midnight. Marcus moved through the church, documenting everything. The cracked stained glass windows depicting biblical scenes of judgment and resurrection, the confessionals with their doors hanging open like broken jaws, the stone baptismal font filled with black water that didn't reflect his flashlight. Every journalist instinct told him this was just an abandoned building, a relic of a forgotten era. But something deeper, something primal, whispered that he should leave. He ignored it. At 11:55, he positioned himself in the shadows of the back pew, camera recording, notepad ready. The church settled around him with creaks and groans. And then, at exactly midnight, the temperature plummeted. His breath became visible in the air. The candles on the altar, unlit moments before, suddenly flickered to life with pale blue flames, and the door behind him slammed shut with a thunderous boom that shook dust from the rafters. Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs as he heard them. Footsteps. Dozens of footsteps, but they weren't coming from the door. They were coming from below, from beneath the floorboards, from within the walls, from the very stones of the church itself. Figures began to materialize in the pews, not walking in, not opening doors, simply appearing one by one, filling the seats with impossible, silent efficiency. They looked almost human. Almost. Men in decaying suits from decades past. Women in moth-eaten dresses, their faces hidden behind funeral veils. Children in Sunday clothes that hung from their emaciated frames. all of them perfectly still, perfectly silent, facing the altar with an attention that felt hungry. Marcus pressed himself against the wall, his camera forgotten, his scientific skepticism shattered. This wasn't a hoax. This wasn't mass hallucination. These were the dead, and they had come to worship. A figure emerged from the shadows behind the pulpit, a priest in rotting vestments, his face pale as candle wax, his eyes black hollows that somehow still saw. When he spoke, his voice echoed not from his lips, but from everywhere at once, reverberating through Marcus's skull. "Brothers and sisters," the priest intoned, "we gather once more in the presence of the eternal dark, we who have crossed the threshold, we who have answered the call, we who serve the hunger beneath." The congregation responded in unison, their voices a chorus of whispers and moans. "We serve, we hunger, we endure." And then, as one, every head in the church turned to look directly at Marcus. Terror seized Marcus's limbs. He tried to run, but his legs wouldn't obey. The dead congregation rose as one, the sound of their movement like wind through a cemetery, rustling fabric, creaking joints, the whisper of dry skin. They didn't rush toward him. They simply waited, patient as only the dead can be, their hollow eyes filled with ancient expectation. "We have been waiting," the priest said, gliding down the aisle toward Marcus with movements that defied the laws of physics. "Every 7 years, the church calls. Every 7 years, a witness must come. Every 7 years, the congregation must grow." Marcus found his voice, broken and desperate. I'm not one of you. I'm alive. I'm leaving." He lunged for the door, throwing his weight against it, but it wouldn't budge. The wood had become ice cold, and his hands burned where they touched it. He pounded on it, screamed, but the sound died in the thick air of the church, absorbed by the walls as if the building itself were swallowing his voice. "The living always resist," the priest continued, now standing just behind him. Marcus could feel the cold radiating from the figure, could smell the grave dirt and rot. "But the church has chosen you. It brought you here tonight. It unlocked its door for you, and now you must fulfill your purpose." The congregation began to chant, a low rhythmic sound in a language Marcus didn't recognize but somehow understood in his bones. It was a summoning, a binding, a transformation. They were welcoming him home. Marcus felt something change inside him, the warmth draining from his extremities, the slowing of his heartbeat, the way the shadows seemed to reach for him with familiar affection. He staggered away from the door, clutching his chest, and saw his reflection in the black water of the baptismal font. His face was pale, too pale. His eyes were beginning to hollow. "No," he whispered, but even his voice sounded distant now, as if it belonged to someone else. "Please, no." The priest placed a skeletal hand on his shoulder. "Take your place, brother. The congregation needs you. The hunger needs you. And in time you will understand that this is mercy, to serve forever, to never truly die, to exist in the threshold between light and dark, feeding the ancient thing that dwells beneath this sacred ground." Marcus looked at the pews, at the waiting dead, at the empty seat that seemed to pulse with expectation. His mind screamed to resist, to fight, to somehow escape, but his body was already moving, drawn by a will that was no longer entirely his own. He took one step toward the congregation, then another. The priest smiled, revealing teeth like broken tombstones. "Welcome home." 3 days later, Marcus Webb's editor received a package. Inside was Marcus's camera, memory card intact. The footage showed everything: the arrival, the congregation, the priest, and Marcus's slow walk toward the pews. But the video cut out at 8 minutes and 43 seconds, the screen dissolving into static. After the static, there were 3 seconds of additional footage. Marcus, sitting in the front pew, head bowed in prayer, surrounded by the dead. His eyes were closed, his lips were moving, but whether he was still alive, still conscious, still himself, the camera couldn't tell. The church door remains locked. Local police tried to investigate after Marcus's disappearance, but the doors wouldn't open, not even with crowbars and battering rams. The windows are too high and too narrow to enter. The building seems sealed, as if by some force beyond human understanding. But the locals know better than to press the issue. They know what happens at midnight. They know the congregation still gathers. And sometimes, when the wind is right and the night is dark, they swear they can hear a new voice joining the phantom hymns, a voice that sounds terribly, heartbreakingly human. The church waits, the congregation endures, and in 7 years, the doors will unlock again.